There is no question Cade Cunningham is the best player in this draft class, Rob. Why?
You don't find players at his size with his physical tools that have his ability to score at three levels and to pass the way that he does. He is utterly unique in that aspect. And here's the thing. He put up some ridiculous numbers as a freshman at Oklahoma State, right? He averaged 20 points. He averaged 6.5 boards. He averaged 3.5 assists. He shot 40% from three. He had a couple threes per game. You can see the numbers right there. The clutch points one is the one that really stands out to me. In the last 5 minutes of games within 5 points, he had 106 points in this college basketball season. The next closest person to him had 63 points in clutch possessions. He was so good in the moments that mattered. He wanted the ball in the moments that mattered. But to me, what really makes him special, it's that passing ability. And he didn't really get a chance to showcase it this year at Oklahoma State. Because the thing about this Oklahoma State roster, they got a bunch of guys on there that couldn't shoot. As a team, they shot 33% from three. If you take away Cade's 40% three-point shooting, everyone else shot 31% from three. Every time he put the ball on the floor to drive into the lane, he just saw a wall of defenders in front of him. And he still managed to put up the numbers that he put up. When you get him into an NBA system where there's going to be better shooters, where it's going to be more floor spacing, where you're not going to be able to put 2 and 3 guys in the paint because you don't have to worry about Isaac Likely not making threes, he's going to be that much more effective, and his passing is really, really, really going to shine through. I've seen the comparisons for Luka Doncic, right? Everybody's seen those. I don't know if he can quite get to that level. I think Luka has gotten to a point where you cannot compare a 19-year-old to him and do it with any kind of justification. It's unfair at this point to put that level of expectation on someone like Cade Cunningham. What I will say is this. I think that his worst case scenario is in 5 or 6 years, you end up with another Chris Middleton. People don't realize, just like we think of Cade as a point guard. People don't realize that he was a guy that was the most efficient scorer in isolation possessions in college basketball this past season. They don't realize he shot 62% at the rim. He was great at getting to the basket, going through those 2 or 3 defenders and finishing. He's just, to me, he's got the IQ, he's got the work ethic, he can defend, you could play him in multiple positions, you could play him at the point, he could be one of these jumbo superstar point guards. I love him, man. I think he is as good a prospect as we've seen come through the college basketball ranks since probably Zion, and before that, maybe even Anthony Davis. He's awesome.
With that, we have the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. The Pistons weren't going to use all the time that they had on the clock for this one. We've known for hours that the Detroit Pistons have selected Cade Cunningham with their number 1 pick in the 2021 NBA draft. And how does this impact the Detroit Pistons? Well, Killian Hayes in that backcourt, someone who as a rookie showed his defensive capabilities. There is also reason to believe that this Pistons young core that we saw last year, Sadiq Bey is one of those guys, somebody that I would expect to make a leap, a good foundation piece. Not going to necessarily be a great player, but somebody who can be a steady role guy. And the emergence of Jeremy Grant for them is really interesting. Detroit just got a guy that, as you just said, worst case Chris Middleton. That's an amazing worst case scenario. Cade Cunningham is going to pan out in the NBA. And there are so many things that he did not benefit from in college this past year that I think now, Rob, we're going to see those skills translate, and he will benefit from them in Detroit. And I think that the Pistons have an interesting young core here.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the most important thing to note is that he can play on the ball, and because of his shooting ability, he can play off the ball. So you mentioned Killian Hayes. I think them working together is just kind of the ideal situation. How many great NBA teams do we see right now that have multiple guys that can initiate offense on the roster? So I love it. I mean, you can't ask for something more. Like, what else are you going to do? It's Cade Cunningham. You got to take him, right? You don't have a choice. Be smart.
No, you don't. And they were smart. And I just look at the opportunity that he's now going to be able to have to throw that skip pass to an NBA shooter. Shot making has never been better in the association. Never. The rates of it have only gone up. In college basketball, the same cannot be said. All you had to do was watch Oklahoma State play Oregon State in the NCAA tournament to understand that Cade Cunningham was surrounded by some players who simply just did not have the vision that he had, did not have that next level type of stuff. And guess what? That's because no one does. No one did in college basketball, and that's why Cade Cunningham is going number 1.